欢迎大家来到羊兄咖啡店，就让我来带大家一起去聊时事吧。Hello， 大家好，欢迎大家又回到了羊兄饮茶啦。对啦，今天羊兄有一个非常特别的嘉宾啊，哇，他对英国的政治可说是非常的热爱，然后他据说他还热爱马来西亚的一种食物呢，哇！今天呢，我们先跟大家介绍我们的特别嘉宾，也就是 Dom。Hello,
hi, how's it going? It's great to welcome my Malaysian friends. It's great to be here.
Right.
Great to be talking to Tan Chiyong.
Yes, that's my name.
Yeah, absolutely.
So 今天呢 ，Dom 我请他来是跟大家除了分享他跟马来西亚的这个经验跟体验之外啊，他也会跟我们大家讲一讲关于英国的政治啊，是因为他不仅热衷于政治啊，他也是非常的。对这个英国政治有一些意见呐，所以我们今天就请他来聊一聊英国政治，当然也包括在马来西亚的经验呐。Okay, Dom, let's go straight. First, let's start with something more relaxing, right?
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you love a particular Malaysia food.
Yes.
Tell our audience, what food do you like?
So my favorite food in the world is Malaysian food, and in particular, I love nasi lemak.
Ooh!
Yeah, it's so good. It's brilliant. So the first time I had it, I ordered it. And I ate one, and I just loved it so much. And I was in a Malaysian restaurant.
Oh wow!
And so I just ordered another one immediately, and ate the second one right there. Everyone was very impressed.
Wow, my audience will love you so much.
Yes.
Your favorite food in the world is a Malaysian nasi lemak.
I love it. It's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, just now in our private conversation, you told me that you visited Kuala Lumpur and Malaysia once, right? Could you just share with our audience about your experience with Malaysia? What's your first impression?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was only 10 years old, so it was a while ago now. But I remember it being an amazing place. I remember the heat hitting me when I got off the plane, which was in Britain it rains a lot, so
Yes.
it was I wasn't used to
Indeed.
that. But it was amazing. I stayed in this wonderful hotel. I just remember the food being incredible, this incredible food hall. I remember like seeing coconuts. I'd never really seen coconuts before, and
You've never seen coconut before?
Not really, no.
But in Malaysia?
Yeah, in Malaysia, I saw loads of coconuts. I loved it, and that was and I got a taste for coconut there, which was great. And I remember going to see the two tall towers.
Oh, the Twin Towers.
The Twin Towers.
Oh wow!
And they were the tallest buildings I'd ever seen at the time.
Really?
I just
the tallest you have ever seen?
I'd ever seen
at the time.
Yeah, they were
interesting.
And I just remember looking up at them, and they just went on and on and on. But it was amazing. It was really such a great city. I was only there for a couple of days,
right,
on my way to New Zealand.
Right.
But I'm going to go back there soon. Hopefully next summer I'll be in Malaysia and experience more of this incredible country.
Right, yes, right. So could you also through our conversation, right? You mentioned to me that you have a girlfriend with Malaysian heritage, right? Is she the main factor for like introducing you to Malaysian food or culture or things like that?
That's a good question. Yeah. So my girlfriend is half Malaysian and half Malaysian Chinese, and she's introduced me a lot to Malaysian culture, especially the food. So I said nasi lemak. Also laksa, I love laksa.
Oh wow, laksa, you know laksa.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's amazing. And also her friends, so she's got lots of Malaysian friends, and it's been, I love them all. They're all such lovely people.
Thank you.
So
our honor.
so kind, so polite. Also like really interesting, have lots of really interesting views on things. And I can always have a laugh with them as well. So I can always have a joke, and that's amazing as well.
Fantastic. I'm so proud to have a friend with a Malaysian connection.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the audience today are very interested about British politics, especially with regards to a tough question, Brexit.
Yes.
So, Dom, let me ask you this tough question. I know it has been dividing the opinion of different households across Britain.
Yes.
Do you regret Brexit?
Yes, I think Brexit was not a wise choice by Britain. I think it has contributed to some problems with our economy, particularly slow economic growth. And also, as a young person who used to be able to go and work in the European Union very easily, I lived in France for a year, it now makes that a lot more difficult. So there are certainly some problems with it. But I also think there are maybe more important political issues now. And I think Britain, maybe one of the positives of Brexit is that Britain can have closer ties with the Commonwealth.
Okay.
With these countries that it has this complicated past and complicated history with, and hopefully that will be beneficial for the future, and that those relationships will be fruitful.
Right, but we will come to the Commonwealth later, right?
Yes.
So because our audience today are quite, just interested in knowing more about the British politics, but I think they don't have a clear idea, what is British politics and what are the spectrum of politics. Could you just briefly introduce to our audience about the British politics and the political parties here?
Absolutely. So you have the Conservative Party, who are the right-wing party in the UK. And then you have the Labour Party, which is a more socialist party in the UK. And these are the two main parties. And it's always one of these that tends to win the election from the 20th century onwards.
Right.
And at the moment, sometimes they're a bit more in the centre, sometimes they're a bit more to the left or the right. And this changes depending on the party leader.
Right. So I also, in my understanding, there are also different parties in different states of the UK, right?
Absolutely. Yes. So in Scotland, you also have the Scottish National Party, and they want independence from England. So from Britain. So they want Scotland to become an independent country, a separate country. You then also have Sinn Féin in Northern Ireland, who want the same thing, and they want Northern Ireland to become part of the Republic of Ireland. And then you also have Plaid Cymru, which is a Welsh independence party as well. And those are the main nationalist parties that want to separate from Britain.
Wow, that sounds complicated. So it sounds like Britain has a lot of issues, right? And especially Brexit, and after Brexit, and you have Scottish independence and nationalist movement.
Absolutely.
So, but could you just tell us, what are the main issues that led to Brexit and why people decided on Brexit? Is there a thing called, because in Malaysia we have this thing called the rise of conservative movement, right?
Yes.
So is there any similar circumstance in the UK?
Yes, absolutely. So Brexit was very complicated. It meant lots of different things to different people. But for lots of people, there was this question of too much migration to the United Kingdom, particularly when there was conflict in the Middle East. Lots of migrants were coming across Europe and coming into Britain.
Yes.
And lots of people were unhappy with this because they felt that their houses were being taken, it put pressure on jobs.
Right.
And so there was a large section of the Brexit vote was about being anti-immigration and not wanting so much immigration into the UK.
So what do you think about the government approach to addressing these problems? Do you satisfy, or do you unhappy with it?
So the government have done a terrible job in terms of migration. They haven't been able to process people very quickly. So what's happening is they're staying in all these hotels, and hotels that used to be used for people going on holiday are now being filled with migrants, and this has caused lots of problems. And also there have been problems in some of the kind of refugee centres here in the United Kingdom, diseases breaking out, certain incidents of violence as well towards these asylum seekers. And so it's been very tense and complicated, and the government haven't been able to manage it very well at all. So they want to address illegal migration. At the moment, there's this big debate about whether or not they should send migrants to Rwanda in Africa.
Sounds random to me.
It is random. And so Britain has paid a lot of money to Rwanda to take migrants, but because of so the idea is that asylum seekers who have come to Britain illegally, they can go to Rwanda, they can seek asylum in Rwanda, and then they can stay in Rwanda and live their lives if they're granted asylum.
So basically, they are randomly deported to a random country if they are illegal immigrants.
Essentially, but no migrant has been sent to Rwanda yet. So the government has spent loads of money on it, but because of challenges in the court system, the legal system, this has meant that actually no migrants have so far been able to be sent to Rwanda.
Wow, sounds like Britain is in a big mess at the moment. So what is your assessment of the current government? Do you think they are doing a good job? Because in my perception, they have been changing prime minister for within just a few years. We have 3 or 4 prime ministers.
Yeah.
So what's your take on the current government?
It's been a nightmare.
A nightmare?
Nightmare, absolute nightmare. So since 2016, we've had
David Cameron,
Theresa May, Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, and Rishi Sunak. 5
prime ministers.
Yeah. So it's been crazy, and there's no stability in the Conservative Party, which I said is the right-wing party. It's been in government for the past 13 years. There's been a real lack of stability. One of them, Liz Truss, she crashed the economy. Okay, so she promised all these tax cuts, but had no way of reducing spending as well. And so this created a big catastrophe for our economy and pushed mortgage rates really high. So lots of people were unhappy with that.
Do you suffer as a consequence of their policies?
I think lots of people suffer as a consequence of their policies. I'm a teacher, and as a teacher, I think teachers, they've had their pay cut by about one quarter in real terms since 2010. So for me personally, yeah, I think teachers should be paid a fair amount because you want good teachers. They're also really struggling to recruit teachers at the moment in schools, so that's really difficult. But in general, for people, I think for people who are less well off, poorer people, it's been very, very difficult for them. Very difficult.
Wow. So it sounds like the Conservative Party is not doing a good job. So next year, I know it's going to be an election, right?
Yes. It's going to be an election.
So do you think they will be out of office by then?
100%.
100%?
100%. So the Conservative Party are doing terribly at the moment. Their polls are really low, so they're not very popular at all. The Labour Party will become the next governing party.
Based on polling?
Based on polling, they're somewhere about 15 to 20% ahead in the polls.
Oh, okay.
So very significant. And the way our electoral system works is it's first past the post. So when you have one party that's doing that badly, that means the other party does really, really well.
Right. So that's interesting. Then we will see what is going to happen because Britain is in a mess. People are really suffering from the consequences of the Conservative Party. Yeah. And next year, I wonder if they can still stay in power. Okay, so coming to the last part of the interview, right, it's a bit more controversial, I would say, because of relates to the legacy of the empire.
Yes.
Right. So what's your view on the Commonwealth?
So for me, I love the Commonwealth. I love Commonwealth countries. I feel a strong cultural connection with them.
That is interesting.
So my dad is from New Zealand, which is also part of the Commonwealth. My girlfriend, as I said, is half Malaysian, half Indian. I tend to get on really well with people from the Commonwealth, but absolutely it's controversial because Britain had an empire and exploited lots of these... Killed people, for example, in Malaysia in the 1950s.
Oh, you know about the history.
They did some terrible things. Britain did some terrible things in Malaysia. A little bit about it.
Okay.
As I'm a history teacher, so I know maybe a little bit more than other people.
That makes sense.
Absolutely. But I think Britain did some terrible things, but I also think there are these deep cultural connections between Britain and the rest of the Commonwealth. And I love meeting people from different Commonwealth countries.
But people nowadays don't really know about, especially for Malaysians like me, right? A lot of people don't really know about the Commonwealth other than the Commonwealth game. Yes. Is there any other things related to the Commonwealth other than the games?
That's a good question. So I think the games are obviously the kind of really symbolic thing, but I think there are also certain connections that are maybe less publicized. People don't know about them as much, but certain scholarships maybe that are given to people from the Commonwealth, certain voting rights. So if you come here...
Voting rights?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, okay. What kind of voting rights are you referring to?
So if you're from the Commonwealth and you come and you're resident in the United Kingdom for a period of time, you're able to vote in elections here.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So that is, there are these connections there. Also, Britain, offered the BNO scheme. So this was a scheme to allow lots of people from Hong Kong to come to the United Kingdom a few years ago. So I'm now teaching some students who are from Hong Kong. And so there are lots of connections, also economic investment, things such as that.
But you see, this is the problem that partially caused Brexit because of the immigrants. So what's your take on immigrants? Do you think, people as a British citizens, you see people from other countries, they are not even nationals of the country. Some of them just came here and they have the right to vote.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
So I agree with that personally, because I think that these are people who have a stake in Britain. Okay, Britain also has a moral responsibility to these people because of an empire, and as we said before, Britain exploited lots of these countries, and so I think it's only fair that when these people come here, because they've been affected by Britain so much in the past, they should have the right to participate politically in our system.
It sounds like a minority in current British political atmosphere.
It depends who you're hanging out with, but probably a minority. But generally, I'm strongly in favour of migration, and particularly migration from the Commonwealth, because as I said, Britain has this, I believe, responsibility to the rest of the world. And also, I like lots of different cultures coming together and living side by side and learning from one another. I also think it's really good economically as well, because you have a much wider pool of labour, and so people can come and fill positions that are maybe struggling to be filled just from the British labour market. And I generally just think it's a positive thing. Having said that, I don't think migration, I think there should still be limits on migration, and there should be certain, everything should be done properly, but I think on the whole, migration is a really positive thing.
Right, that sounds reasonable. Coming to the end, the last question is,
yes.
How do you see Britain moving forward in the future?
So I think the Labour Party, as I said, will win the next election. I think the Labour Party will be a little bit better than the Conservatives. I think they will be some economic benefits.
You're a Labour supporter.
I'm historically a Labour supporter. I don't know if I'll vote for them at the next election.
But they're better than the Tory.
They're better than the Conservatives, but I've been quite unhappy with both parties in relation to their stance on Israel-Palestine. I think they've been too pro-Israel, and I think that there should be a ceasefire in Gaza, and I think the rights of Palestinians should be respected, and that's something that both parties are too weak on, in my opinion. So I think there will be some changes, but not enough. That is my view of UK politics in the future.
Right. So about the Commonwealth. So do you see a future in the Commonwealth?
Yeah, I see a strong future for the Commonwealth, hopefully. I hope to welcome a lot more, people from Malaysia to Britain when they want to come, whether that be to study or to work. And as I said, I'm hoping to go and visit Malaysia later on in the year. And people from all across the Commonwealth, hopefully, we can, keep the ties strong, keep those scholarships that exist, make sure there's, lots of investment going both ways, but, particularly from Britain to other parts of the Commonwealth. And yeah, I hope that can continue, but in a positive way and in a way that's not exploitative and not violent.
All right, that's the end of our program. Thank you very much, Dom. So it's my pleasure to have you at the program. So
it's a pleasure.
今天呢，这个访谈，我也希望大家就对这个英国政治更加了解，尤其是从我们一个英国朋友啊，他在当地的这个角度来看这个视角啦。他目前是一个老师，他也是一个剑桥的毕业生。我希望大家通过这个访谈呢，能够受益无穷。也欢迎大家自由的在下面发表你的意见哦，如果你有什么想法最后请大家不要吝啬订阅、点赞，还有分享出去，因为大家的支持才是我继续做这种非常有意义的采访的动力，好不好？所以就给个支持吧。So once again, thank you, Dom.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all my Malaysian friends. It's been great to talk to you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.